In this video tutorial, we'll demonstrate how to build a complete digital signage presentation from scratch. When you open an account with us, you're going to select a template, and the template has everything pre-configured for you. However, for the sake of this demonstration, we went ahead and deleted all the different resources, the screens, the campaign, so everything is blank. So this will allow us to demonstrate how to build a complete demonstration from A to Z. So the first thing we're going to do is click on the plus sign right here and add a screen. We can add our own custom width and height for the resolution, or select a predefined one. So we'll go ahead and select the high definition 1920 by 1080. Click on next, and we're going to let the system create the screen divisions for us, and click on finish. Now let me just explain that by adding this screen, it doesn't mean that you're only going to have one signage player in your configuration. All it means is that you're creating a template. It means that this is the type of monitors you're going to have, and if you have other monitors installed in the system, you can add additional configurations as well. Next, you see that we have three types of screen divisions. We have a full screen, we have 2 screen divisions, and 3 screen divisions. This was created for us by default. Now you can click on this plus sign right here and add additional screen divisions. Now we'll go ahead and rename our screen division. We'll call it screen division 4, and click on the white area by dragging the mouse and start creating your screen divisions. Now our system has no limitation on the number of screen divisions, so you can really get as fancy as you want. We'll just create something like this. So we've created a total of 1, 2, 3, 4 screen divisions. We also support layering, so you can click on a particular screen division and drag it over, and you can put screen divisions on top of screen divisions to create a layered effect. But for the purpose of this demonstration, we'll go ahead and we'll keep everything aligned. So at this point, we're done with our screens. We'll go ahead and switch to resources. And resources is where you upload all the different resources or files to our server, so you can use these files in your signage presentation. This will include your flash video, your images, your Swift animations, and if you click on the plus sign right here, you can add resources from the local hard drive, from an HTTP URL, from a shared library, or from Flickr. So first we'll go ahead and add some resources from our local hard drive. So we'll go ahead and click on the plus sign right here and select from local. And we'll select 3 different files by holding the control key on Windows. And we're uploading an image, a Swift, and a flash video. Click on open. Click on file save to actually force the files to upload onto our server. And click on save. Files are uploading right now. And when the files will complete uploading, we'll be able to use the different files. So that's done. So next, let's review the different files. So we have our image, we have our Swift with the bubbles, and we have our flash video. So all the resources have uploaded correctly. Now what we want to do is create a thumbnail. The thumbnail will allow us to see an actual small picture on the timeline. So in a second you'll see what a thumbnail is good for, but to create a thumbnail, click on this camera icon right here. And we'll go ahead and drag the rectangular over and create a thumbnail. We'll do the same thing for the Swift. And we'll create one for the image as well. So we've created 3 different thumbnails. So now we're done with the resources, and we can switch to campaign. Now the campaign is where you're going to do most of the work. That's where you're going to create your campaign, your timeline, your different channels and resources. So that's where you'll spend most of the time on. So to add the campaign, click on the plus sign right here, and for the campaign we'll keep it just the name to be campaign. Click on next, and again we need to select the configuration we've created earlier. So we only have one, so we're going to pick by default the screen configuration that we've created earlier. Click on next. The timeline we'll keep it at 1 minute in length and keep the name as timeline by default. Click on next. And for the screen division, it's asking us what type of screen division do we want to start with. And these are the 3 predefined that were created for us, and then we've created the 4th one right here. So we'll go ahead and select the fourth one that we've created earlier and click on finish. And the system is nice enough to go ahead and assign all the different channels to the screen division, so you see everything is color coded. We have our blue channel, it's going to play in this region, the green is going to play right here on the bottom, the red is going to play right here in the middle, and the light blue is going to play on top. Now if you wanted to change that, you can simply click on the screen configuration. You can zoom out a little bit so we can see better, and you can take the color, the channel, and drag the color over to the particular screen division you want to assign to. So if you wanted to assign the blue over here, you can reassign it, and then we'll take the light green, click on channel 3, and drag it into this region right here. So you can reassign the channels to particular screen divisions if you want, but our system automatically does this for you when you create the new timeline. And now that we have our screens configured, we have our screen division configured, we have our first campaign configured and our first timeline, we can proceed and start adding resources. Now I just want to go and explain real quick that a campaign is created for multiple timelines. So right now we just have one timeline. If we wanted to, we can add more timelines. And timelines will play sequentially, one after the other. So you can have completely different timelines playing in a sequential order. So at this point, we're going to go ahead and add some resources onto the particular channels. So we'll switch over here to Toolbox, and under resources right here we see the 3 different resources that we've selected earlier. So now let's go ahead and start assigning the resources. We want to play the Toy Story Flash video in the blue channel right here, and you see that now we have this small image. This is the thumbnail that we've created earlier, and then we want to play the beauty image over here on the blue channel, the light blue channel, all the way through. So it's going to play for 1 minute, which is the total length of the timeline. And we're going to play the bubbles on the right here on the green channel. And on the red channel we want to play an RSS feed, so we'll switch to components. We'll grab the RSS news feed, put it right here on the red channel, double click on it, go to the properties, set it to be horizontal, and increase the font size a little bit. So we're going to have the RSS news play right here. Now if you wanted to play a different component just after it, after 30 seconds or so, you can change the duration of this particular resource, the RSS news, to 30 seconds, and then drag another resource just after it. So if you wanted to go ahead and add a clock just after the RSS news, we'll scroll down over here to the clock component. We'll drag it over here, extend it to the full length of the timeline of 1 minute. You can either double click on this to load up the properties of the clock, or click on the pencil icon right here. This will load up the properties in this region, and you can switch to the clock tab. We'll change the fonts to be 30 and the font color to be gray, and now we've set up the clock component. And at this point we're done with our configuration, and we can preview this. If you click on player, preview, and click on the play, this will actually open up a browser. This will open up whatever browser you've configured in your system. So we'll go ahead and click on play, and in our case it's opening up the Google Chrome browser. It's loading up all the different modules, and if I resize this a little bit better so you can see what I'm doing here, you see that right now it's loading up the modules and about ready to start playing the presentation. And it's ready. It's actually playing the same presentation I've just configured it. You see that I have the bubbles over here on the bottom, I've got the Toy Story, and I got my image on the right. I'll go ahead and close the browser. So this is one way that we can view our presentation, by clicking on player preview. You can also copy and paste the URL from the browser and actually copy and paste that onto your own website, so web visitors can freely watch the digital signage presentation that you build. If you make any change to the presentation, this will automatically propagate to anybody visiting and watching the presentation on your website. Now, as I mentioned earlier, you can have multiple timelines. So in this configuration right now, we just have one timeline. If we click on this plus sign right here, and we'll call this timeline 2, click on next, select a different screen division, and click on finish. Now we have 2 timelines, and let's go ahead and add a 3rd timeline. And this time we're going to select full screen for our 3rd timeline. So now we have a total of 3 timelines. And in fact, you don't have to run a full screen for the full length. You can mix and match. So I can basically say that I want to play this full screen division on this timeline for 20 seconds, and afterwards I'm going to go ahead and switch to my screen divisions. I want to switch to this particular configuration. So very flexible. And if we add a few more channels and click on this screen division 4, we can go ahead and assign the channels by dragging and dropping. So very flexible on how you can configure each timeline. So as I mentioned, we have a total of 3 timelines now. So how do you tell the system which timeline to play first? So that's done through the sequence button right here. So now we have a total of 3 timelines, 1, 2, and 3. If we switch to the sequence, we have a total of 2 timelines that are playing in sequence. So it's going to play timeline 1 first, then it's going to play timeline 2, and if we click on timeline 3 and drag it over, now it's going to play timeline 3 after it's done with timeline 2. And you can simply click on a particular timeline and drag it to change the order. So now our system is going to play timeline 2 first, then 1, then 3. So let's go ahead and set timeline 1 to play first, then timeline 2, and then timeline 3. So that's what I want. So now let's go ahead and switch back to our timelines. And I actually don't want to have timeline 3 and timeline 2, so I'll go ahead and delete them. So I just have one timeline, timeline 1. So just to kind of recap what we've done so far, we configured our screen, then we went ahead and configured our screen divisions. We went to resources and uploaded some resources, some images and SWF and Flash video onto the server so we can have resources to work with. Under the campaign, we've created a campaign with 1 timeline, multiple screen divisions, and some channels. We went ahead and added the resources onto the channels. So pretty much we've done everything that we need to do to build a complete signage presentation. The only last thing that we need to do is register an actual signage player. So until now we've been working with the Signage Studio. The signage player is the software that actually runs at the physical location on the computer that connects to your monitor. That's the software that you'll be able to remote control, that you'll be able to propagate all the changes over the web to that particular machine. So the way you can control all the remote signage players is through stations. You see that right now I don't have any stations, any signage players connected. In fact, the data grid is completely blank. So I'll go ahead and add my first station. I'll need to install the signage player software and register it using the same email and password that I've used to log into the studio. And at that point I'll have full remote control over that station, and I'll be able to propagate all the different campaigns into that signage player. And now I have my signage player running. So again, I need to register the signage player with the same email and password that I've created my account with. So I'll go ahead and do that and click on next. And next it's going to ask me to name the station, so I'll keep it at my station. And for the campaign I only have 1 campaign, so I'll leave everything as default and click on register. Now the signage player is installed and ready to play. However, it is saying signage controller not running. The signage controller is actually installed right here under program file signage player Win32. There's a signage control exe which automatically is installed on the startup. So if I reboot the PC, it will automatically kick on, but I'll just go ahead and run it manually. So I'll go ahead and double click on the exe, and I'll go ahead and minimize this window, and you see now that I've run this exe, the signage controller, it says now it is running. So at this point everything is ready, and I can click on play to start my signage presentation. If I click on play, you'll see that it is running my presentation. I'll go ahead and press escape on the keyboard and click on stop to stop my presentation, and I'll go ahead and pull my studio back on. Go ahead and minimize the player, and you see that now under stations I have a green LED, and it's showing that my signage player is not connected and it's ready to be remote controlled. Now for the sake of this demonstration, the signage player and signage studio are installed both on the same PC. But of course the signage player could be installed somewhere across the world where I could have full remote control over it. I can get a live snapshot by clicking on this picture icon. I can stop it, I can propagate new software builds to it, so everything can be done remote control over the web. So this wraps up this presentation, and this presentation will just give you a quick intro on how to build a complete signage presentation from scratch. Now you should watch some of the other tutorials. This tutorial just gives you a basic understanding of the system. If you switch over here to navigation and editors, you can enable the editor functionality, the catalog, the music player. So there's many other things you can do with the system. This is just a quick introduction. If you have any more questions, be sure to contact us. Thank you.